Hello and welcome back to the channel and another gameplay video, and this one for a course that I ported just yesterday called Acadia Lodge. Now, I never ended up doing a video or anything for this when I released it last year, so I thought this would be a good chance to show it off. It's also had a load of upgrades, and as it won a contest last year, it's quite a nice one to show off. Now for this one, it's a ported course, so you could have played it in 23. There have been some minor changes, but they're only visual, really, and a few gameplay related ones. But no whole redesigns or anything. In terms of settings, one thing you might want to do if it's your first time playing it, I would probably lower the firmness down to for fairways down to moderates, because they are quite firm and it will bounce you all over the place. And it's kind of designed as this. The way it works is you have those specific settings. I designed above those as like a tournament option, but I didn't want to go to very firm, so somewhere in between those. Now, we will get some of the gameplay sounds in the background as well, because I think those are quite nice, typically. But first of all, let's have a little zoom around and you can see the plot. So as you can see, all of the grasses are new and replanted, and I did some terrain painting stuff as well. But this one was for the National Treasure Design Contest last year, in which we got a choice of architects, and you had to try to emulate some of their work or be inspired by them. And I chose Stanley Thompson. Now, Stanley Thompson, typically defined by really bold, naturally beautiful sites, mostly in Canada, I think possibly exclusively, but he might have designed one in America or so. He did a lot of bunkerless golf holes, so using that land movement, kind of broad sweeping slopes. Greens weren't super intricately internal contoured, so tried to do more with broader slopes again there. But as you can see, land movement, pretty bold. Additionally, he would kind of take you on out and back routings. So you'd go on this journey through the landscape and explore various areas, but you wouldn't come back to somewhere. And that kind of, well, the reason I chose him was a lot of this played against my own natural tendencies. So I tend to like to revisit areas with routings. He didn't do that. I tend to like intricately contoured greens. He didn't do that. Um, he would often do kind of five par threes was pretty common, if not always. He often did five par fives, but also not very often. So it's hard to say that was a specific trait. But then, yeah, he featured some really stunning landscapes, and this one draws most closely from Highland Links in Canada, but actually it was based on a national park in Maine called Acadia National Park that I found whilst kind of I exhausted Canada, and I found I was getting too close to some of his original influences with Jasper Park and Banff Springs, and so went over the coast and found Acadia Park, National Parks. This is based on a video out on YouTube that I found. Made an environment, and then actually routed the course in about 40 minutes after making the plot, and just fell in love with it. So yeah, let's give this a round, and I'll talk you through. At the moment, I think my guy's on legend difficulty for fun, but let's just check that because I might be able to bump it up a little bit further. Because I do really like the way legend plays in this game with the higher end golfers. Yeah, those are our settings just for information. It's slightly tweaked off the base legend stuff because I do still want scout can and things like that. First hole, you can take on driver, but if you're taking driver, you have to be hitting through this left-hand side. It gets tighter. Anything here is going off the fairway. You probably want to be on the high left-hand side if you can do. First swing of the morning, and it's not great. Bounce in just a little. No, I didn't fancy it. And it seems to have sat down quite a bit as well. However, it's in quite a funneling in position, so hopefully everything should come towards that. And that, I think, could be good. This is probably one of the more intricate greens on the course. As you can see, it's got a low middle section. I viewed this contest as very much you're not building the course exactly as Stanley Thompson would have done, because if I were doing that, I would just rebuild Banff Springs or Highland Links, but more just like that was my influence, and it was still my style of design, but through what he would have done. So you're not going to see perfect work, and there'll be stuff that people can nitpick for sure. It was more just an impetus to build a course that in a way that I typically wouldn't. Second one also features a big left to right slope, and we are going to be finding that bunker, which will gather a lot of balls. It was a bad swing. Significantly longer par 4 than the first. Now, can I get a 4-iron out of here? Feels touch and go, doesn't it? I think I'm getting there anyway, but we'll try. So this one and the first hole very much kind of go hand in hand. The first hole is quite a gentle opener with some admittedly very severe land movement. This one's a longer version of kind of similar thing. Right, we can hit a spinner from here. Might not have been enough. Needs to go off club. Okay, could be dropping a shot here. I always like the bunkers around this green. I know they're not, again, ooh, hold apart. They're not perfect Thompson bunkers, but I always thought they just fitted quite nicely. We don't need to see a replay. It was basically a straight putt. Okay, the third was a hole I got really excited to build when I found it, because this was the one that I wanted to. The first two have taken you away from the ocean. This one's kind of hinting that it's there. You're not getting all the way there yet, but it's showing you what is there. It's also bunkerless. I vowed to myself that I wanted to make 3 bunkerless holes on this course, because I don't do that very often. And that was very much a self-imposed restriction. You can also see with this course how much the new game really shows off the better terrain mesh and how good everything looks. There we go, bounced our way down to here. So we're blind, but we do have a decent angle and everything is feeding towards the pin. Down 9, which means for me, I'm thinking I can land it as short as here and I'm okay. Or as long as here and I'm okay, which is quite nice. Just thinking that one through. Right, let's have a look again. Hit my cursor onto the screen. Yeah, I think these sorts of slopes give you a bit more forgiveness if you're willing to look for them. That felt good. 95% about where I wanted it. It's really travelled, but it should stop pretty nicely. So yeah, that's how I view red slopes on a green. Like, they're another way to get the ball close that allow you to aim in a slightly different place and hedge your bets a bit more. That's a terrible putt. Knew as I hit it. So yeah, front to back green on that one really defines the hole, as well as the big kind of elephants in the fairway. Oh, that camera decided to speed up. Oh well. Okay, hole 4 has the most severe, probably, fairway on the course. You can hit driver, you've got to be way left. Or you can hit 3-wood and just roll down towards here, particularly on the moderate settings. I'm going to take driver, I'm going to have a short shot in. That might be playing with that bunker. Needs a straight bounce. Oh, it's got one. You can keep rolling though. Up in the light raft. Nope. Yeah, you can see it rolls out pretty aggressively, and that was as designed. It's a short hole. But I appreciate very much not for everybody. Oh, it's not a good shot. Yeah, at least it stayed there. I have not got much experience with chips off this sort of a lie. I'm going to assume it comes out very slow. Oh, come back. Did not come back. How was it stopped? Okay. Need to tap it. That's a nice putt. Huh. Interesting that it's switched to that shot rather than the whole camera I put on this one. Oh well. Cameras are doing weird things. Anyway, the 5th is kind of more of a long par 4 because we didn't have another one on the front nine, really. The second is kind of long, but in the old game at 470, that's still really driver eight iron for most people. So this one needed to be the one that was really beefy. And green-wise, again, not a typical Thompson green at all. This was just there, and I liked it, so I kept it. That might be in the back bunker, actually. I hope it is. This is the thing. I still wish balls would roll through to those bunkers a little more than they do. Because it makes them... I want to play a chip shot, I think. And it just on the fringe. That's about where I wanted to land it. I could have used tie spinners, but I just feel that shot when you pull it off is so much more satisfying. And that's another terrible putt, which I shoved at the end. Ugh, annoying. So in terms of updating this course, the main things I did, as you can see, replanted all of the grasses. It helped that autumn currently gets a load of autogen, so that made life a lot easier. Didn't really do anything with the trees, and then the only other things were softening some of the slopes, and by some I mean quite a lot. So with the high-res terrain, it just shows up a lot of the things that we couldn't see back in 23. I might get lucky, you know. And it has. See? Can be friendly sometimes. I always really liked these back bunkers. I know they're not. Again, critics could say they're not perfect Thompson bunkers. Doesn't mean I don't like them. Yeah, so what we never really realized when making plots was all of the little bumps that you'd be created by using some of the fuzzier brushes, which aren't actually perfectly smooth as we thought they were. So when bringing this one in, you started seeing all sorts of little moguls that just didn't exist in 23 that I could never see. And I guess that gave people kind of awkward lies. So yeah, if that happened, sorry. 7, another one where there's one bunker. He never really went in for... When he did over bunker, he really did it, but he didn't do it often. That's just a dreadful swing, and Legend really punishes those. Well, we've taken away the most fun second shot on the course. That's a shame. I don't even know if I can get through this. Oh, we did something. Okay, so usually you'd be playing a 3-wood and try to judge around here where on that slope you're bouncing it to try to get it close. And the fact that there's this little spine in the middle means that if you're going for the back pins, you're kind of bringing that bunker a bit more into play, which was always a lot of fun. Not that that's what we're doing now. We are playing uphill. I've never played this shot from here. Sure, let's play the 6-iron. That could be bunker bound. Needs to bounce hard. That's done all right. Yeah, that couldn't have worked out that much better. Tricky putt now, though. But yeah, you can see how this green works, and it takes you nicely, I felt, as a transition hole away up the hill. So uphill par 5s, for me, quite hard to do, so pleased with how this one came out. Tap that one onto the green and hopefully cozy it up close-ish. He does also have, like, his greens are known for being challenging and there being a lot of slope on them. They're just broad slopes, as mentioned, so not unsurprising. Then we get 7, which is our waterside lakeside par 3. In that Acadia National Park video, which I'll link in the description, there's a really cool lake there, and I tried to model this sort of off that. This is a course where I very much built the environment first and then just went on a journey afterwards. Right. Don't know if this is enough, but we can give it a go. Good tee shot. Could be good. Oh, hello. Yeah. And as ever, like you could try and hit a 7-iron and just stop it on the green, or you can play it that way. The idea is always with fairway aprons that you give people an option. Because if that was dead downwind, you'd want to be doing the latter. Right. I think there. Nah, it's not that much, I think. There we are. I'm pleased with that birdie. That was quite nice. Right, 9. You get into kind of even more rollicking land for the next few holes. Long par 4, as you can see, 550 yards par 4. Not an error, it's just way downhill, and I wanted you to have a long approach in. It's really hard to do that in 23. Now that is either very, very good or not quite. Not quite. Get out there. Okay, into light rough is not the end of the world. Yeah, I always wanted you hitting a long iron or at least a 3-wood, or like a 3 or 5-wood. Sorry, at least a long iron into this. But as you can see, get the other side on that fairway and you're hitting something significantly shorter in. The green's pretty receptive, just kind of bowls in. As you can see, it's, yeah, we'll just play for the middle of the green, which we find, 2-putt and get out of here. It's also in a different direction to the other long par 4 on the front, so that made sense from a balance perspective. Ooh. And it's followed by one of my favourite holes on the course, which is the 10th, a short par 4 with all sorts of mounding and interesting stuff. So in the old game, this became sort of drivable downwind. It might still be, but you'd really need some help. The green has lots going on. And your ideal spot is usually this bit up here, because that gives you a view of the green, at least for this pin. Sometimes you might want to be down here, but then if you're doing that, you're coming over that slope rather than getting up the length of it. Right. And I think 3-wood might be a bit too much out here. No, we're going to be down in that little valley. Okay, we collect down here, 91. Oh, it's actually a pretty good distance. Slope is probably pushing it left just a touch, wind bringing it back, fade bringing it back. Felt right. Just if the distance is good, which it really is. Ooh, interesting little bit of spin as well. Very happy with that. Now 11, a bit of a quieter par 3. Just the next 2 holes, you've gone through all this crazy land. I wanted to give you a bit of a release from that. And it happened that we got back to the lake, which is naturally a flatter part of the property. So 11 and 12 kind of play on this quieter bit of land before you get back to the crazy stuff by the coast. Because, yeah, as mentioned, we've seen the coast twice on 3 and 4. But we haven't got there yet. So still holding that in our back pocket. It's not a bad swing. And pretty easy green to hit, but very heavily sloped from back to front. So, yeah, the challenge is not solved once you're on the green. You've still got to make a decent putt. Or 2. Overswing's not great. Struggling with swing, yeah. Putting since the patch has been a little bit more tricky, but it might just be that it's because I've moved over to Legend. It's probably a bit of that. So yeah, back-to-back par 5s to come, which is, again, not something I typically do. Thompson's done it at least once that I know of on Highland Links. So I wanted to buy into that just a little. And the thing was, if you do that, they've got to be really different in character, I feel. And hopefully, as you'll see, these are. This one, tight dog leg round the corner. Just cut off as much of the water as you dare. For a shorter shot into a propped up green that really only takes an aerial approach. So here we do have a backstop, which I think kind of invites you to go for it, because you think if I can just land it here, it will roll up and then cozy back down. And by doing that, you're bringing in all of this, rather than just playing for the fat of the green. We're going to try and do that. Just aim somewhere here. If it goes straight, great. And that should find the surface. At least we've got a putt. Didn't quite have enough to be able to reach exactly where I wanted to. Still, 2 putts for a birdie is not too bad. And this was always a favourite green as well. It's got kind of a high shelf that but sort of falls away a little bit to the back as well. There's a lot of interesting stuff on here. Okay. Pull on the swing path, but everything else good. After playing with my 65 overall guy, I really appreciate the leveled up greenskeeper. Oof. Yeah, and then, as I say, you want the two to be different. Here's the 13th that you can see, much bolder land movement. And this is the one where we're playing back out towards the coast. Yeah, that's fine. Worried I'd pushed it into the bunkers, but I think we're going to be okay. I always try and give myself a load of margin for error on this hole, because you can hit it pretty much anywhere. You get a slightly shorter shot if you challenge those bunkers, but there we go. And then you get this shot, which is, I think, my favourite on the course. There's a lot that I liked, but this one, trying to work out exactly how much you need to hit on a 3-wood to a green that really narrows at the back, and you definitely don't want to go long, don't want to go right, don't want to go left. But as a par 5, I think in a video game should be. You've got to be taking on some risk. Pretty good. I feel like I wanted just a bit of a partial. Oh, and we did, and it's going to feed in off that slope. But there is stuff to help you when you hit the green. That little kicker mound would always help things back into the green that were good, but not. And yeah, it's that difference between good, just on the green, that slope pushes you back in, and dead, just off it. And that razor edge is what I try and go for. Go on, get in. No. Ugh. The uphill putts are much more difficult post-patch. I feel like you have to hit them a lot harder. 14 was... So interestingly, this one was originally not on the first routing that I did. You're originally playing this and then playing the next hole, 15, and there was nothing in between. And then rerouted because I saw this, and so I never went out to build a Devil's Cauldron and go, oh yeah, that has to be on here. I just happened to find a really good spot for it, and glad I did. Oh, that is the worst swing so far today. So those of you who don't know, Devil's Cauldron is the 4th at Banff Springs, which is one of the most famous par 3s in the world. If you don't know it, well worth looking it up. Okay. Well, this is not... Yeah, it's not ideal. Let's get it rolling and see what happens. Yeah. And it is a very hard back-to-front green, but it's super severe. Yeah, with that one, you've got kind of a... It's a long iron as well, the real one. This one's just a wedge shot. Oh, well, we give one of those shots back deservedly after the tee shot. So now, as you can see in the background, we play basically all the way back up the coast and get you home. And that was a real Thompson thing. He would take you to a feature and then keep you there. Again, not how I would do it typically, because What it does mean is when we get to this coastline, we are playing with coastline on the left the entire time, which for me, trying to seek balance doesn't really work as well, or rather, it's not natural for me. Um, yeah, it's a little bit different, and that's partly why I chose Thompson for this contest, because I wanted to do things that are a little different for me. I am not sure if this has enough. Up 27 with wind, probably about on the money. Have to get all of it though. That's a good shot. Didn't feel comfortable clubbing up and hitting a partial. Again, really spicy green. I don't feel the orange slopes play as harshly as they did on the old game. So, also with the greenskeeper, not everyone's going to be seeing the that green reader skill. Not everyone is going to be seeing the orange boxes in exactly the same place. So it's no longer going to be as trivial for us to say, well, that's a legal pin or an illegal pin, which is a good thing. Oh, really missed on that swing. Happily, it's a very wide, very bouncy fairway. Ending up down here is fine. So this was I always wanted to build a bunkerless par 5 on this course, which could have been the 7th, but that one needed bunkers a bit more. Okay, can we... Kind of all about how it negotiates that front bit. Oh, and then we've shoved it anyway. Might have been rejected by those mounds in any case. This one's based off 15, I want to say, or is it 16? I think it's 15 at Highland Links, which is another awesome par 5, but some of that land movement is crazy. Every time I thought I was overdoing it on this course, I went and looked at that and was just like, yeah, okay, you can be pretty bold. And then obviously adapting it for a video game means you do get bolder, but it's the right sort of thing. Nice up and down. 17 with 4 under on Legend. Pretty good going. Like I say, if you know where to land and how to play this course, it's not, I don't think it's that difficult. Long par 3, very long par 3, 281, but you should never be taking driver at this one because everything is going to bounce down. So we could land this as short as about here, and it's getting back to the pin. However, we're going to take 2 iron. It should fly that bunker. Not the best swing, but if it kicks left here, which it was 50-50. No, it didn't quite. Absolutely perfect for another pin, unless it hits that slope just here. Tried to. As you can see, if it was just a touch further left, would have made it there. But yeah, you don't need anything like 3-wood or driver to get to this one. You can still do it that way, but I don't think it's the best way of getting the ball there. Oh, it's a great putt. Yeah, that one we can watch a replay of. That's pretty cool. Lovely view back down the coastline as well. I did do some of the terrain painting on this course, just not as much. It was the fescues and the new backdrop that I thought were the best things for this one. And the terrain and bunkering just pop way more than they did in the previous game. But as I think this was my penultimate publish in the last game, it's pretty close to up to date, what I'd want it to be. So 18, we're going to risk being in that bunker, I think. Needs to slow down. And it is. Oh, very nice. Yeah, 18 was a hole I really liked as a closer. It's just straight out in front of you. There's a big right to left slope on the fairway. Green that's above you. It's a long approach in. Yeah, good shot. Which we have not done. Thankfully, there's a couple of bunkers there to catch us so we don't go way down the hill. Say thankfully, it's not ideal. Oh, picture on legend is still way too easy. Okay. And then, yeah, so we end up on this lovely spot. I think that would be an amazing place for a green for an 18th. Big hotel, sort of clubhouse thing. And then you've got the first heading out in that way to begin your journey around the course. So, yeah, pop this in, and that's Acadia Lodge. As ever, I will get back to doing some design videos, but at the moment it's more just bringing courses over, playing them, and hopefully you're enjoying that. And I figure for some of the new viewers I picked up on my channel, you may not know um, some of these courses. Obviously, a lot of them recently have been new, but when I port them, it's often good to show people this is what it was, how it looks like, and talk you through. As I mentioned, I hadn't done anything for Acadia when I released it, so hopefully that gives you a bit of insight into the course and was an enjoyable watch. Hopefully see you again soon, and yeah, thank you for watching.